All right, welcome Raider Nation to another episode of the Punk Rock Raider. My name is Dirty D from the Dirty T. I am the Punk Rock Raider. I'm excited to start really getting to these draft prospects. We just had the Senior Bowl, one of my favorite events of the draft season. You get to see these guys in actual practice situations and one-on-ones, see how they take coaching, see how they react. I think that's the biggest part. Obviously, film is king of all, but it's good to see some of these guys might just have some things that need to be fixed. How well do they take coaching? And I'm going to highlight offensive players today. These are 5 guys that I would want on the team. And I have them ranked in order of one, I think they're going to go in the draft. Not necessarily who I would want to target the most, but all 5 of these guys I think should be targeted. And I'll give, my kind of analysis of when to target or if I even want them as the next guy or whatever. I'll give my analysis on that. But 2 of these guys, the first 2 are actually both going to be offensive linemen. The next 3 are going to be wide receivers. As far as the offensive linemen go, there was a lot of talk, at least at the end of the week, about how bad this offensive line group looked. And one-on-ones, this is a hard event for an offensive lineman. These all-star events are really difficult because offensive line, a lot of it has to do with gelling with your unit. It's also just like it's difficult for quarterbacks because you have to learn and implement a new offense with players who never played before. Same with guys that you rely a lot on the guy next to you, right? Where it's advantageous as the defensive lineman because you just get to wreak havoc. Like, hey, there's some things, about the guy next to you, but offensive line is completely about the unit playing together, gelling together. But these 2 guys, to me, both stood out. Everyone, the belle of the ball for everyone was, I pronounce his name, Max Ihianakor. He's offensive tackle from Arizona State. Has all the measurables you want. He's a big guy. He's an athletic guy. He's super long arms. And he improved a lot as the week went on. He showed some chippiness, some nastiness. He has a high ceiling as an athlete. Excuse me, I don't know what the fuck that was, but he has a great ceiling as an athlete. Dude is just brimming with potential. And he's made a lot of increases in his ceiling as he's went from a junior college player to he was hurt his first year at Arizona State, and he's got better both years that he's played. And he's going to be a guy that, at this point, I would prefer to take someone like this in the 3rd round. But here's the conversation really important to remember with offensive linemen. Offensive tackles specifically go earlier than you think they should. This is a guy that can absolutely be a future starting tackle. I don't know if he's ready to be a tackle day one, but he certainly has the tools to be a starting tackle. Best case scenario, you get something like DJ Glaze his rookie year, except a guy with more tools to consistently get better, where DJ Glaze kind of maxed out. So he's worth a 2nd round pick because you can lock down your offensive tackle spot for years to come, and he's a very high ceiling of talent. Even if year 1, he might struggle. The next guy on this list, though, I like more. And I think the analytics should tell you should like him more. As much as I like Max, I'd be happy with either dude. But Jennings Dunker's been getting way too much hate, or just not enough love, rather. I remember the first couple days of the Senior Bowl, I saw so many tweets, I saw so many things about how he was a winner, and then no one's talking about it at the end of the week. And everything I watched, I don't think I saw him lose 1 rep in one-on-ones. At least on offensive tackle, I actually saw a rep at guard where he won, but it wasn't as clean or dominant. He still, they had him work in and out. But the dude at offensive tackle looked really good in one-on-ones. He showed an athletic movement, patience, knew when to strike, well-timed, well-disciplined, and he was never bending over. Like, he had the knee bend you want, everything you want. There's been a lot of discourse about not even discourse. It's been general consensus he should be a guard in the NFL. I want to know if that conversation changes or why that conversation doesn't change when he measured him with 34-inch arms. That's offensive tackle length arms. He has the movement and athletic skills. And there's some talk about, when he's on the outside, he doesn't always get to his target as quick as you want him to. His grades in zone blocking, which is what that's all about, are extremely high over the past 2 years. His grades in general, it's extremely high. And B, I heard Trevor Sikkema, I reference a lot because I watch the show a lot, talk about how he likes to, he doesn't start his stance loaded, and he kind of, will have to, at the beginning of the rep, load and then go. And I think that causes him to be a second late. If that's the case, that's coachable. And you have a guy that grades well. He's productive. Listen to him talk about how happy he is for the team to win best offensive line. Iowa. He's nasty, and he's got long enough arms. Let him play right tackle in the NFL, especially for the Raiders. Let him play right tackle. I think he profiles to me as a 2-contract starting offensive lineman. Whether that means he's a starting right tackle for a year or two and you kick him inside and then he's a kick-ass guard, or he stays at right tackle, I would let him play tackle. And I thought he was dominant. And of anyone on this list, this is the number one guy I'd want on my team. Look at this guy. He should either be playing for the Raiders or he should be playing for Dan Campbell. And every fucking Raiders fan will wish that we drafted him, if that happens. We're going to move on to the receivers. For receiver, we have a need. I don't love this class, but there were some guys that jumped out. And we need either an X receiver or a guy that can be that Z, that can play kind of like outside or slot, kind of off the line of scrimmage guy. There was 2 X receivers, though, that really jumped out to me. Number 1, Malachi Fields, Notre Dame, 6'4", 218 pounds. He had long enough, but shorter arms and small hands for the size, but he doesn't really drop passes. And his contested catch rate was good, but he was dominant on the field, and he looked more athletic on the field in practices. His route tree looked better. He looked like a guy that I think could be a true X in Kubiak's style of offense as well. He looked really good, and these types of guys scare me. Can they be separators? I thought he profiled some more wide receiver 4 or 5 in the NFL. Honestly, like a guy I really like. Lil Jordan Humphrey is the type of guy he reminds me a lot of, but if he's got more separation and juice and route running ability, which I actually think Lil Jordan Humphrey can run some routes, but besides the point, and he can be that 3 and even that 2, he could be worth a 3rd round pick. I think the guys before this were talking the 2nd round, unless somehow Dunker gets to the 3rd. This is I still would say 3rd, 4th round pick. And it's going to be interesting to see how he tests athletically. The next guy we're going to talk about, though, I wrote him off. I liked him, and I liked the analytics of him, but not a lot of people talked about Josh Cameron. And it was really the size that made me think, exactly what Jack Bech was listed at. But when he made it to the Senior Bowl, so he's 6'1", he's shorter. He's a little shorter than Bech. I think he's Bech 6'2". But anyway, 223 pounds. Dude is stocky. What's crazy is about 34-inch arms. Or 33.5-inch arms. Yeah, about 34-inch arms. Sorry. That's super long for his height especially. Huge frame. And then over 10-inch hands. The bigger your hands are, the easier it is to catch a ball. That's insane. His PFF grade wasn't crazy, but his contested catch rate, I haven't checked to see compared, but this is very high percentile. It might be one of the best in the entire class. And his 1.4 drop rate, he doesn't drop the ball. And when you watched him in practices, didn't matter. Guys were holding him. Guys were trying to interfere. He seemed to just catch just about everything in his radius, pluck that ball out with his huge hands, and he's built like a running back, and he runs violently after the catch. He has really good after the catch ability. This guy's risen up boards for me. I have to stack up my boards still, but this is a guy before I would have targeted in like the 6th round. He might be up to a fourth round target for me. Honestly, especially if we haven't taken a receiver yet. This guy, I think he can play on the outside. Interesting build, but I like this guy a lot. The last guy I'm going to talk about today is kind of the story. This kid, I don't want to call him kid. He's a man. Sorry. This man from John Carroll, Division III. He's smaller, so I think a lot of the rhetoric here is like he's still going to be a day 3 guy. He probably wouldn't have been. He would have been an undrafted or end of the 7th round guy if not for Senior Bowl. He's not like tiny, but he's not very big. He started out as a basketball player. He's only been playing football since college for only a few years. But last 2 years he's been dominant, and this year especially, he broke the John Carroll receptions record with 119, over 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. Dude was dominant at John Carroll, and I wouldn't call him dominant at the Senior Bowl, but he showed NFL level agility, quickness out of his cuts, and he had a couple of the biggest highlights, both on a stop route where he left Colton Hood running, who's a potential first-round pick, and he mossed Chris Johnson, who is potential second-round pick. And he had a lot of good highlight catches throughout the week. There were still times he was locked up. Like I wouldn't say he was not. This wasn't Tank Dell. He wasn't creating separation on every route he ran, but he looked like he could be an NFL player, and he'd be absolutely worth the 6th round dart throw. Might be a guy that, again, he hasn't played a lot of football, but he looked like he belonged. That's going to do it for me. I don't want to go on too much. I am also going to be releasing a video about defensive players as well. If you haven't done so already, please hit like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Dirty D from Dirty T, the Punk Rock Raider. Have a great rest of your night.